Got everything ready? Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to March 7th, Tonganoxie City Council meeting. Lindsay, you want to call the roll, please?
Rocky Hempel,
Here.
Jacob Dale,
Here.
Lorelei Stevens,
Here.
Chris Donnelly,
Here.
Jennifer McCutcheon.
Here.
Thank you. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dan, did we have anybody sign up tonight?
We did not, Mayor Pro
Okay,
Tem.
thank you. Okay, has everybody had a chance to look at, all council members, look at the minutes? Any comments? Chair, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve is presented.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Consent agenda. Has everybody had a chance to look at the consent agenda? Chair entertains a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second on the floor. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Rocky Hempel,
Yes.
Jacob Dale,
Yes.
Lorelei Stevens,
Yes.
Chris Donnelly,
Yes.
Jennifer McCutcheon.
Yes.
Under new business, swearing in of a new police officer. Greg, are you going to introduce the new officer, please? Any comments?
Yeah, I would. Thank you very much, sir. Council, thanks for having us tonight. Kind of give you a little bit of history here as far as we try to come and introduce new police officers when we hire someone that's new to the community. A lot of times. All right, that's, all right, now I can hear myself, that's scary, all right. So, we try to do that, at all of our council meetings, and so, but in the past, we've had a lot of, since I became chief, we've had a lot of pre-certified law enforcement officers that have came from different agencies, and really have not had a new police officer that's gonna be going to the Kansas Law Enforcement Training Academy, KLETC. We've only had one of those. So the reason why I bring that up, it's kind of an interesting story. So we bring new officers in that are pre-certified, and we have them sign an oath of office with Mr. Porter when they do their HR paperwork, and we kind of go through all that. Well, and again, we've always had pre-certified police officers that have done that in the past. So on this particular occasion, so we bring in our newest police officer who's going to be going to the Kansas Law Enforcement Training Academy in May, Nick Poggi over here. So Nick comes in to sign his paperwork, and he's going through, and Mr. Porter asks him, we need you to sign the oath of office before we get going on anything else and before you kind of get released out there. Well, when new recruits graduate from the Kansas Law Enforcement Training Academy, they raise their right hand down at graduation and they say their oath of office in a big group, and their family's able to come forward and watch them graduate and kind of go through this process. So the reason, again, why I'm telling you the backdrop of this story is that Nick says, when he looks at the oath of office, he says, this is something that I consider to be very important, and I'd really kind of like to do this in a forum that in front of the community or in front of my family, and is there an opportunity for me to do that? And so Dan called me and goes, hey, he's asking this question of me, and how I don't know exactly how to respond. So it kind of struck me that, wow, that's kind of, it's although it's not extremely innovative, it's a pretty darn good idea that I didn't think of. And so I was sorry to say that I did not think of it, and that he was just gonna sign that and wait on his graduation down at KLETC. So with that in mind, I think Nick Poggi's probably started a tradition here when someone's not pre-certified and they're gonna go to the academy. We're gonna do this from here on out. So we think it's a pretty good idea. And again, that I can't take any credit for, unfortunately. So anyway, I'm gonna ask him to come up, and this is his family back here in the back. Nick's, and invite his mom and dad as some of his other family. So I'm gonna have him come on up here, And what we're going to do is, I'm going to ask him to raise his right hand, if you want to stand here and raise your right hand, and we're going to go through this really quickly for the council and for the community. So, all right, so I, Nick Poggi. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
I'll support the Constitution of the state of Kansas
I'll support the Constitution of the state of Kansas
and faithfully discharge the duties of police officer.
and faithfully discharge the duties of police officer.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, thank you very much. All right, and we got Nick's hard badge there. He's kind of got a patch here, and all of his friends here from the police department are here and his family. So we're going to give you this, and we'll have him sign this. And thank you very much, council. Thanks for giving us that opportunity. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for serving.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
good luck.
congratulations.
Good luck at the academy. Okay. Item number B, ordinance number 1503, consider special event permit and draft ordinance. Looks like 1503, authorizing alcohol consumption on public property for a wine and bingo event at Tonganoxie Public Library. Assistant City Manager Dan, would you like to handle that, please?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'll do a quick introduction and give the council some information about the materials in the agenda packet. And then I'll also note Max Wirestone, the Tonganoxie Public Library Director, is here tonight, and he indicated he'd be glad to answer any questions you might have. The city code, section 33, requires that for alcohol to be consumed on public property in the city limits, which the library is, in fact, the city's property, a ordinance is required to be adopted, and the city council has in the past adopted similar ordinances for after-hours events or events with usually a restricted attendance and a plan for the handling of the alcohol sales and consumption. The event in this case is one proposed on April 14th of this year, and before the ordinance would be effective, there is a publication requirement, so this is being brought forward either at this meeting or at the next meeting in order to meet that time frame to be ready for the event to occur. The plan for the event is a bingo night for up to 36 attendees, each of which must be legal age to consume the alcohol, to be registered, and they'd hold it in the community room space where the sale and consumption of wine would be allowed under the event's rules. The other items in the agenda packet include a few more details, but staff or Max are happy to answer any questions the council may have about this request.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Does any council members have any questions?
You expecting a full house?
Hope for one. So this is going to be a kind of a test.
See how it goes.
And then we might try and revisit something with the farmer's market outdoors in the summer. We stole this idea from Lakewood. They did it as a fundraiser for the Friends of the Library, and they made a pretty penny. So
Great.
Good. Any more council members have any comments? Chair entertains a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 1503 and approve the special event permit in draft ordinance that'll go for publication authorizing alcohol consumption on public property for the bingo event at the Tonganoxie Library.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Lindsay, you want to call the vote?
Rocky Hempel,
Yes.
Jacob Dale,
Yes.
Lorelei Stevens,
Yes.
Chris Donnelly,
Yes.
Jennifer McCutcheon.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, item number C, consideration for funding request for cultural organizations. Dan, I believe you have that one also.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'll do a quick introduction, but the City Council should hopefully be familiar with this topic of funding for cultural groups in the community. The last meeting actually included some good discussion by the City Council about criteria and a framework to evaluate groups that approach the city and ask for funding from the city's general fund to support their community activities. The group of 4 criteria that were a result of that discussion are included in the agenda packet. And again, you'll recall the changes were to go away from a weighted system with a numerical score, but to instead share those criteria and the prompting questions with applicants. Staff, after that meeting, shared that with the two groups remaining that have asked for funding in 2022, and that's the Tonganoxie Arts Council and the Tonganoxie Historical Society. We're lucky to have with us tonight Keita Kelly with the Tonganoxie Arts Council and Chris Roberts with the Tonganoxie Historical Society. Each of them took the criteria and submitted a revised application for funding that took into account the prompt questions and the criteria, and made I believe, a very admirable job to address those topics in their new submittals. Those are all included in the agenda packet, and they're invited here tonight to also answer any questions you may have. Coming from a budget perspective, there was $5,000 allocated in the 2022 general fund budget for these two groups' funding requests. That amount did not meet the full level of funding requested. Each requested $5,000 individually. As shown in the budget impact section, the city does have a variety of funds allocated in the 2022 budget for community events, for the Tonganoxie Business Association, for these two groups, and other economic development or community initiatives. If there is a decision by the city council to stay within the $5,000 budget, a decision would obviously have to be made as to how that would be allocated. There's also still fund balance available in the general fund that could also be used to fund in excess of $5,000, up to the amount, obviously, that each group has requested. If you have questions about that in particular, I'd be happy to address them. But if you also have an interest in hearing from the two applicants for funding, they're here, and I'm sure would welcome a chance to discuss with you. But if you have questions for staff, please let us know.
Okay. Council members, do you have any questions, comments about the funding?
I have one concern with the festivities planned for the Festival of the Arts. And that concern is that it is outside of city limits. So that would, my concern was asking for city funds for an event planned outside of the city limits where it's not benefiting anything downtown.
Keita, would you like to come up and address that, please? Thank you.
We made that decision for several reasons. One is Kane Family Farm stepped up and made us an amazing offer to help with this. So they're paying for all of the evening bands. They're saving us from having to buy or rent porta potties, rent straw bales, rent picnic tables, and a lot of expenses, infrastructure expenses that go on behind the scenes when we have a festival downtown. When we have a festival downtown, we shut down the streets. We hurt the downtown drugstore. We hurt flashbacks. We hurt a lot of businesses that do their primary, at least their bulk of their weekly business on Saturday. And we were looking for a way around that. And Kane Family Farm, I think they are technically outside the city limits, but just barely. I think the city limits actually jumps over them and takes in the armory.
I thought they were in the city limits.
No.
No.
So the only difference I see, the only hurt is, sales tax would not go to the city if they purchase something there. But you're still going to have several people coming in from other counties, other cities, other states that are going to see our community and be exposed to it. They're going to get gas in our community, they're going to eat in our community, and they're still going to have a financial impact on our community. So, I mean, it was a pretty easy decision to move it down there because of the ease. They have indoor. Last year, if you all remember, if you were down there, we had torrential rains that sent all of our vendors scrambling to get their tents down, get their artwork out of the rain. This way, we have indoor the barns. If you've been out there to Kane Family Farm, it's a beautiful venue, and they have a lot of large indoor space that's going to just make this work so much better for us. So I do understand your concern, but it was kind of a balancing act. You know, the one business that I think does benefit from us is 1866. They usually have a really good business on the day of our art festival or our children's storytelling festival. But they will be a food vendor out at Kane Family Farm. So we've taken that into consideration to make sure that we don't in any way impact them negatively. But I do know that Sarah works around us every time we shut down the street in front of her on Saturday. And a lot of people, that's when they pick up their prescriptions or go to the drugstore. So we were trying to kind of balance that, you know, keep from hurting the downtown vendors that rely on their Saturday business, and also make it a little easier for us, make it easier for those coming to come out there and enjoy everything in proximity to all the other events.
Okay, thank you very much. Do any council members have any more questions? Keita, while we have her up here.
Sure. I thought you put together a very thorough look, and I did check the website, and you mentioned that people would be eating downtown and coming downtown. But on the website, it says that food and drinks will be available at Cane's, and you just mentioned 1866. The downtown has a lot of small businesses and boutiques that are open and really benefit from times when there are downtown events. They benefit like Jeannie's and the Candle Store, Rustic Heifer, and new things that are starting to open. I know that as a downtown business owner myself, our busiest days are days when something is going on downtown, and same with Tuna and at Flashbacks. Also, I know when people come to our business, they say, wow, I had no idea Tonganoxie had a downtown. This is an opportunity for people who, even the ones who live here, let alone the ones that travel, to see the downtown. So I think that when I read that, that was something that I was surprised to read about the location.
Well,
That's just my comment.
okay.
So I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, we do have food trucks on Saturday because they'll be all at the festival grounds. And we do have, well, when Kane does the music, they always have food available out there. So it's nothing different that's being offered then. But we had over 30 artists last year come in. Those artists are on their own for lunch, and they're on their own for dinner, I think on Thursday night and Friday night. So we're hoping that they'll have an impact on the downtown. And we certainly, one of our goals is to put coupons or something in their bags that we hand them so that they know they can go downtown, then go to the small shops and they can shop and hopefully, you know, take advantage of that coupon and support the business.
Okay.
I just have a couple of general comments.
Go ahead,
Not,
Chris.
Keita, nothing necessarily directed to you on, first would be, I sure understand the concern about in city limits and not. And so I think we really need to be thinking through the precedent set, you know, of something like down at the Sunflower people, and not that the Grinners would, or something on the east side of town, outside of town. Are we gonna do that? We need to think through that. But a separate comment, I need to make sure I understand. I've never thought any of these things that we do are strictly related to downtown. If we had somebody who wanted to have something out in town, in the city limits, for lack of a better location, the school, would we not do that? I've always under the impression that we would do that. It's not limited to downtown.
Of course. It's like with any event, there would be a lot of opportunities and places to have it downtown or somewhere in town.
Yeah, okay, and
Yeah.
I just want to
No,
make sure
I
I
mean,
was thinking through that.
Yeah,
correctly.
just thinking about, I don't know, past events over the years, like Tonganoxie Days or the Sunflower Stroll or anything that has been, or car shows have been like downtown or downtown.
Sure.
Or, you know, adjacent, something like that. Or,
So-
what was the car cruise, or,
Well, they have
I'm
at
just
VFW
remembering-
Park or the park or something.
yeah, since I moved back in 2006. So, I mean, that's not forever, but it's a long time.
Jake, do you have any comments?
No, I don't think so. I guess the only, I understand, I think it's an astute point about using city funds for supporting an event outside of city limits. That being said, I've always kind of talked on various other topics about the community being more than just city limits and extending past the city limits. So it's an astute point, and yet also kind of runs counter to some of the other thoughts I've had on other topics. So it's an interesting dilemma.
Okay, I think I'd like to hear from the Historical Society. Chris? Do you have anything you want to address to the council, or?
I'm hoping that the letter answered the guidelines. I mean,
Okay.
that we addressed the guidelines properly. No, I mean, we would like to have a partnership. But that's, unless you have questions for me.
Okay. Council members, do we have any questions? Okay,
Okay. Thanks.
thank you. Okay, so what we are going to consider tonight is rather fund them, fund these at $5,000 request. Is that the way I understand it?
That's correct,
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem.
For each organization, do you want each organization separate or both of them together?
If the council would rather make one motion in response to the two requests, that would be fine.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we fund the Tonganoxie Art Council and also Historical Society for $5,000 each. That is my motion, so.
I'll second that for just additional discussion.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and second on the floor. Additional discussion. Chris?
Yeah, as I look, I want to make sure I'm reading this correctly. We're looking at 5,000 apiece, but Keita, am I reading that it says 2,500 from the city of Tonganoxie? Maybe I'm reading that wrong, and
Maybe I read it wrong.
Mr. Donnelly, there was a request in the materials Keita submitted that referenced an expected grant. Is that in the financial page that you're talking about? In her letter, she did illustrate a $5,000 request. I
okay,
think
I was just trying to match the two up.
Yeah,
I'm
the
sorry, I
summary
was-
says 5,000, but
Okay.
then at the bottom, it just
So
says the
I saw that, but
expected
then I
is
saw the
25.
number doesn't match the request. Okay. Sorry, that's the banker in me.
Okay, any other comments from council members? Jake?
I'm seeing in the Historical Society documents, I've seen the needs requesting the 5,000 to increase exposure in the community, some signs, and Chris, could you tell us a little bit more about what the 5,000 would be going for? I know in the past there was conversation of it helping to support a part-time staff member. And
Okay.
I think that was something that we kind of were less supportive of.
We took that out.
Okay.
Yeah, we would have liked that. We would have welcomed that. But, no, we're talking about signage. And so what we want is we've always had a sign that has weathered out of date or weathered away. On Washington Street, we also have started investigating putting a sign, hopefully on 2440, so that people going by see more than the state brown signs, which are pretty small. And we'd like to continue to work with the city about getting more directional signs in the city that, that point toward the museum, and at least increase the awareness that there is a museum.
Okay.
But if we were going to spend it on people, we would say we were and we're not.
Okay.
We heard
Thank you.
that.
Any more comments? Would you call the roll, please?
Rocky Hempel,
Yes.
Jacob Dale,
Yes.
Lorelei Stevens,
Yes.
Chris Donnelly,
Yes.
Jennifer McCutcheon.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you very much. We appreciate the work you do, and we appreciate you coming in tonight.
You bet.
Okay, item number D, Geotech award a bid and approval contract with PSI Inc. for 2022 Church Street Bridge Project. George, I believe you have that one.
Yes,
City Manager.
thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Excuse me. We, as part of the Church Street Bridge project, we've discussed this several times. This is our #1 bridge priority project. We've allocated funds to do the work. Some of the work that we've already accomplished included the surveying and the study of the stormwater, analysis of the stormwater that comes down through that site. And all of that helps to format the design documents as we move forward. One additional item that BG has recommended is to do the geotech work on the site. They think doing it at this time will really have two major advantages. One is we can get competitive bidding, and then they can incorporate the results of that into the design. And then on the back side of the timeline or the schedule, knowing in advance what the conditions are, will probably streamline the bidding process and just kind of keep the project moving. The overall time schedule that we're still looking at is we've done a site walkthrough just last week was completed. In terms of getting the design documents, the right-of-way, the utility relocates, we still think that's about a 6-month process, and we're probably a couple of months into that now. We would still expect to release the bid document or do the bid letting probably early summer, and then either start the construction work late summer or early fall, and it should be completed before the winter. So as a reminder, it grew a little bit larger a couple of years ago when we first prioritized Church Street Bridge. It was simply looking at the bridge replacement. Now we know we need to do a little more stream realignment. It goes hand in hand with the bank stabilization work we've already done on Ann Street. But that erosion continues to be a little more severe, so we'll have to shift that stream bed and some of the bank adjustments that we do as part of this project as well. And so kind of getting that design done so we can go talk to the neighbors. There's 1 or 2 neighbors that could be impacted just because their properties already are impacted by what the stream does in high water. So, but having said all that, BG did reach out to get 3 bids. The low bid of $2,675 was submitted by PSI. There should be a communication from BG staff indicating they've worked with PSI before and they believe that they're capable of doing the work for the price submitted. Be happy to answer any other
Did you
questions.
comment on the sidewalk going across the bridge? by any
Sure.
chance?
So that's part of the design that they're continuing to do. And we know that's an important component to the city council. Looks like we'll have room to accommodate it best on the east side. There's not an existing sidewalk on Church Street on really the north or south side of the bridge there. But there's more right-of-way and room to incorporate a sidewalk. So I think what we even asked BG to incorporate in their design is to account for a sidewalk on the east side of the bridge, and then we'll need to work through how we lay out what the tie-ins are. We're not fans of just simply having a sidewalk attached with the bridge and then just drop-offs in elevation. So we're just trying to price through what that does in terms of, do we actually connect back to the street, or do we need to do additional grading work? But yes, so that was, again, a long-winded answer to say, yes, we are accounting for a sidewalk.
Okay, and I agree with you about just ending the sidewalk. Maybe we take that sidewalk away from the bridge quite a bit before we end it, and kind of taper it or curl it back into the street.
Yep, and we actually just had a conversation with them about that today.
So what we need today is, or tonight is, a motion to approve the contract with PSI.
Just one
Chair
question,
entertains a
George.
motion.
Having literally just paid for a geotechnical survey on multiple on multiple boreholes, they're only doing one borehole? And that's what it says, and I'm somewhat surprised, and if BEG's okay with that, I'm okay with it. Obviously, they know way more than I do. I just,
I think it'd at least be 2 or 3.
if I just didn't write a check and analyze one myself, I'd probably been okay with that, but. And so it reads to me that there's one borehole. They're gonna go at 20 feet, which I understand that. They're gonna get down below any potential soft grade, but. So that was just
Yeah.
gonna have stuck out. Well, we're probably gonna be putting up a bridge that's gonna hold an awful lot of weight. So that was just a question. If BG's okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think that based on the initial analysis of the site, they're not expecting any condition issues. And I think, given the size of the bridge, one boring's probably ample enough. But I'm gonna go with the engineer's recommendation that the submittal's good. I was trying to look through the other ones to see if they had
see those
additional
in-
sites. I'm sorry I didn't have that level of analysis for you, but I think, I know we've had that specific conversation, just the footprint and what type of bridge it is with the double culvert pipe. It doesn't take up a big footprint, and it can, as long as we don't have a 50-foot drop before bedrock, I think we'll be okay to place it there.
Okay,
That's why we pay engineers.
Chair still entertains a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal from PSI for geotechnical exploration associated with the 2022 Church Street Bridge project for an amount not to exceed $2,675, and authorization to issue a notice to proceed to the company.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'd second that.
Okay, we have a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Rocky Himpel,
Yes.
Jacob Dale,
Yes.
Lorelei Stevens,
Yes.
Chris Donnelly,
Yes.
Jennifer McCutcheon.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is city manager's agenda.
Yep. Nothing's listed, Mayor Pro Tem, but I do want to give a quick update that last Friday, Dan Porter and I, along with council members Donley and Stevens and Mayor Pro Tem, had the chance to go to the LCDC annual luncheon. The guest speaker was John Haslam, the new president of Hills. They did, and I thought, an incredible presentation that not only highlighted Hills as an organization and what they do to be a good community partner, but also really outlining why they chose the site in Tonganoxie and the benefits. And Steve Jack, he did the intro for both Mr. Haslam and Hills, and I thought he did a fantastic job of outlining the innovative way that project came together. And that date happened to be March 4th, and March 4th, 2021 is when the project lead was really circulated through the Department of Commerce, and how really, at least for city staff and almost everybody involved, the first time we met face-to-face was for the public hearing that was held in this building by the city council. Everything else was done via virtual meetings. And I always try to joke with them, that's why I don't like to be on camera, and that kept the deal together until they were here to meet us all in person the night. So I think that was great that Steve went through the history of the project, and I don't know if any other deal in the history of Leavenworth County, or certainly not in the city of Tonganoxie, was done that way. And to look at a project now that's probably approaching closer to a $400 million investment, it's a pretty amazing story to tell, and we're hopefully not done yet at that business park. It'd be nice to have another tenant announce, and maybe they can do a presentation. But Hills is fantastic, and like I said, I really appreciated what they highlighted in their presentation about what they how seriously they take being a committed community partner and what comes with that. So just wanted to make sure we mention it. I'm sure if you folks had any comments, you can add it later. But that's all I had, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay. City Attorney's agenda, they're not here tonight.
Oh, and Mayor Pro Tem, I should have made an introduction earlier. So Ms. Crystal had a conflict, but Rich Cook with Stinson is on the phone and he's been listening and
Oh, okay. I didn't
available.
realize that.
But there is no agenda item under the city attorney tonight.
Okay, thank you. Under Mayor Pro Tem, I was gonna speak about the luncheon that we went to for LCDC, but city manager took care of that. City council agenda. Mayor isn't here tonight. I believe the chair entertains a motion.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Got a motion on the floor to adjourn. Got a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Done deal.